Why, hello there, YouTube viewers. As you can see by the screen rolling on here, this is NASCAR 14, as in NASCAR 2014. I'm making this video because this has annoyed me to absolutely no end. The reason for me making this at all would be I want you to stay sane. I want my NASCAR fans to stay sane. I want everybody that I know that plays racing games to stay sane. Avoid this game like the plague. Don't spend a thin dime on it. Don't even bother. And the reason I say this is I borrowed this game. So there's no way on God's green earth I was going to spend a penny on it anyway. This has bothered me to no end. So here we are in the title screen. Here's career, and again, barring this game, there's a handful of things I wanted to do because I want to pull this up here. I'm almost at 120,000. And really just want to push over 120,000. I have 22 out of 40 already. But I want to push over that 120,000 mark by this game, only for sheer principle. I'm working on Egghead before I go return this. It's research everything in the R&D department. And that's in career mode. What bothers me is that research and development isn't that problematic because I purchased all of these, purchased all of those, purchased all, and I've worked my way down. So there's the in-house brakes, and I have my improved suspension. I need 3 of the improved brakes for super speedway, intermediate, and short. That's the only thing. Yeah, that's the only thing right now that's bothering me is I can't get through here. I just figured out after plowing through last season that I could change the difficulty. Yeah, I know, I'm simple. But, so, to get into the Daytona duels, you know, really you just got to do well, get yourself up there. I have 2 very obnoxious paint schemes, as you can see. I'm going to pick the really obnoxious purple. So, let's get some at least quasi-decent parts for our car since it's Daytona and we're starting out with the Super Bowl effectively, and this is all the pre-race stuff before then and so forth. I have to say this much. Had I actually spent any money on this game, I would take it back to the store and demand my money back. Today is, and here's what's important on this. Tuesday was February 18th. That was my birthday. That was the day this game was released. Played it. It was horrible. Fought tooth and nail all the way through. It was absolutely, when good drivers are wrecking you for no reason, the AI is overcranked. The cars don't act right. The physics is broken. I don't care what they splatter up there. Eutchenyx failed on so many different levels. Here's what I'm pointing out, because just because. Okay, so I've cranked the difficulty down to 15%, 5-minute practice times. There's only 15 laps, 20% of the race. I've turned off tire wear and fuel use. The flag rules are, of course, cautions and black flags, and I made it visual only because I got tired of just being run over. Eutchenyx apparently does F1 games really good, but they're awful when it comes to stock cars. Activision learned this after 2 games and getting just slaughtered in the forums and slaughtered by fans and people going, this has got to be a bad joke gone horribly wrong. Correct? Please tell us this is right. So after the debacle of NASCAR the game, and I think that was released in 2011, and then NASCAR Inside Line, both again made by Eutchenyx and put out by Activision. Activision was done with it. I mean, absolutely through with the game. So they sold it. If you go to your gaming store, wherever that may be, there's a lot of places that sell video games. I want you to look on the bottom right of the front of the box. Right underneath Tony Stewart, there's a little emblem down there. It says Deep Silver. These are the wonderful people that brought you Saints Row. Now, Saints Row is a fun game, and they knew exactly what they were doing because a lot of that was in-house. This they went out-of-house on. They trusted Eutchenyx to do this. Now, for practice, for qualification to get in the duels, etc., you have to have a fast lap. And almost like clockwork, every single time. Now, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see my personal best is 46.92 seconds. And I'm playing with the controller right now, which is why the car's jumping everywhere instead of a wheel. Almost every single time I get up here, it'll freeze going into turn 3. Don't know why, but it does. So, and it did it again. There we go. Here, there's triggers, there's bumpers, there's starting and back. Here's the big silver button, clicking and the thumbsticks, any number of the buttons. There's nothing there. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. It was released on the 18th, which was my birthday, and I thought, okay, well, it's a Eutchenyx game, so I'll borrow it and see how bad it is. It was bad. I figured, okay, I'll get another couple of achievements, call it done. Yesterday, there was an update for it. I only got to race maybe a race or two, and that was further on in the season. Again, I'm starting a new season, which is why all the R&D and the research and development. I can't even practice. I've said this on Twitter, on Facebook, on anybody else that'll absolutely listen. Tony Stewart, congratulations for getting cover art. You should hang your head in shame, sir. And the reason for that is I'm a Tony Stewart fan. My stepson and I in Dallas went out to a Bass Pro Shops where we were going to get autographs earlier that afternoon. Well, Tony got held up. So my stepson and I kind of just hung around Bass Pro Shops. And that evening he showed up. We both got autographs on our little die-cast cars. Shook his hand, told him what a great job he did in Indianapolis when he won the first time. It was just a really cool thing to meet a driver. And if you've never done that, then by all means spend the time, wait in line, meet the driver. If you're a fan of racing games, avoid this like the plague. If you have a way to get the word out, please use whatever the link is at the top of the page for this video. Send it in an email to NASCAR. Use that in the forum pages. Use this as an example in everything else that you can. Get the word out. Save your money. Like I said, I haven't spent a thin dime on Eutchenyx since the NASCAR the game in 2011. I borrowed Inside Line, and had I spent money on that, I would have wanted it back immediately. Had I purchased this game, it's 3 days later, I can't even practice, I would take it back and say, I want my $60 back. This is ridiculous. This is a bad joke gone horribly wrong. Give me my money and I'll go buy a real game. You know, there's several real games coming up. If you're following my Twitter and Facebook, you know which games I'm looking forward to. But I'm going to leave that out. Just for right now, I know that a lot of the drivers have Twitter accounts. I know a lot of the drivers have Facebook and Google Spaces and Hangouts and all this other good rot. Copy and paste this link. I want the drivers to see this. This is ridiculous. This is a bad joke. This is putting a bad mark on our sport. This is putting a bad mark on NASCAR. We already have enough trouble with people that still can't understand. It's just cars running. Oh, making another left turn. Okay, I get it. Not an athletic sports centered around rednecks. Yippee. Bright, really bright, like we haven't heard that before. When you start looking at the mechanics of how the air works, how the car responds, how pit stops and strategies go, it's a whole different animal. When you start talking about what the athletes in the car actually have to put up with, it's a whole different. I'm just aggravated. I actually have to reset my system now. Figured it out. Deep Silver's probably regretting their decision looking at sales now. I don't know what y'all need to do to get EA back on board. Okay, so they weren't paying you enough money, NASCAR, really? Greed over what? At what point do you sacrifice game quality and fan happiness for a cheap piece of bullshit like this? And yes, you can quote me on that. This is ridiculous. It's a bad joke. At least EA had an entire team, just an entire team that was, working on just the stock cars. I'm befuddled. So I'm going to go and start this one more time. And every single time it starts let's do it with this car. Maybe that's it. Maybe it just doesn't like the car. When I can't even get through practice, when I get my one warm-up lap and I come back and I cross the start-finish line and the time starts at turn 3, every freaking time, thanks for the update, Eutchenyx, it freezes on me. It bricks my system. So I have to turn it off, turn it back on, sign back in, then, sit there on my homepage, click down to go to the game, and then actually attempt to play the game, which is ridiculous. This is, oh my God, this is a nightmare. I hate Eutchenyx so much right now. I don't know what's going on over there, guys. Dear Eutchenyx, do me a favor. Go down to a track. Pick one. Don't care which one. Pick one. Preferably on a NASCAR circuit, but get one at least that they're tire testing or something on. And for the love of God, put on a helmet and a driving suit. Get in the freaking car. Get in the car. Ride around. Feel how the car responds. At what speeds. Look over and see when they shift. Watch when he presses in the clutch to shift gears. Watch when he applies the accelerator and the pedal for brake. When everything else is going on in that car. Pay attention through the pit stop when they come in. Because you can do that. And there are teams that'll do that for you. Especially when they want you to put out a better game than the garbage you've been putting out. Because this is, it's horrible. I just don't understand. I can't wrap my head around how y'all are making any money. Dear NASCAR, for the love of goodness, would you please, please, please go down to Deep Silver and tell them that they need to fire Eutchenyx and hire a brand new team that's going to come in here and code this right. Or for the love of freaking Pete, suck it up, swallow your pride, go back to EA and say, look, we need to make a deal. We messed up a lot because we gave it over to Activision. They promised us a better game and they gave us garbage twice. And I can't understand. I can't wrap my head around it. I'm at a point now where I just want to pop in Forza or any of the Forzas because at least they make quasi-decent cars or close to actual cars and how they respond, or, you know, or at least, oh my God, it froze again. I don't know if you can hear that. Here, let's see. Can you hear the vibration from my controller? Yes, it's frozen. I can't do anything but turn it off now. Share it on your social pages. Get the word out there. Don't buy it. Don't rent it. I borrowed it to save you the sanity. Don't bother. Tony Stewart, pick your head up. You don't have to cry in shame anymore that you got on the cover of a garbage game. You need to make a phone call to Deep Silver. They're making you look bad. Every other freaking driver out there, y'all need to pay attention to this. You need to start making some phone calls. This gaming company is making our sport look bad. This is ridiculous. It's a bad nightmare gone horribly wrong. It's that. And I set my controller down here on the desk and it's still sort of vibrating because it's frozen. So anyway, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to put it back in the box and I'm going to take it back from the person that I borrowed it from, because there's no way on God's green earth I'm going to spend a thin dime on a Eutchenyx game ever. Eutchenyx, get out of the business. If you're really good at making F1 games, go make F1 games. If you're really good at making IndyCar games, go make IndyCar games. Until you crawl into a stock car, until you talk to them, until you put this in the hand of a driver, give me a freaking break. There's no way a driver has tested this and said this is okay for their fans and this is okay for our sport and this is okay for anybody for any reason. This is a bad joke. If I was just a passive gamer and I don't play a whole lot of racing games, but I had a passing interest in NASCAR and had bothered to go out and invest in this game, I wouldn't bother with the sport. This one game would run me off of the sport entirely. Absolutely, entirely run me away from the sport. When y'all are NASCAR, when y'all are complaining about we're not getting enough money, we're losing money, people aren't going to races, they can't afford it, etc., and the economy's bad and so forth. I get it, I do, but you're shooting yourself in your foot when you allow Eutchenyx to make garbage like this. It's ridiculous. I'm asking you, I'm begging you, please, 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 for the love of God, somebody do something. This is released on the 18th. This video is, and that was Tuesday. Wednesday there was an update, and it's only gotten progressively worse. As you can see, Thursday, which is today, is the 20th. I'm making this video. I'm hoping to have it up before midnight tonight. It's currently 9 p.m. Central Time. I want this out before the Daytona 500. I want them to recall this game. I want NASCAR as an organization to say this will not do. This will not pass. This is not, it has nothing to do with our sport or our people or the way that we race cars or any of that. This is, it's horrible. Just do me a favor, share it on your social pages, get the word out. If you like what you saw, and like I've said 1,000 times before, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, I'm calling it a freaking duck. It's a duck. This is garbage. This is trash. Don't rent it. Don't buy it. Don't waste your time on it. Stay away from it. NASCAR, do something. Tony, slap the hell out of somebody. Treat this like you would when you were as angry at Joey Logano last year at the Motor Club Speedway in California. You need to go beat the poop out of somebody, knock their little heads in, because this is ridiculous. You can't even drive like your favorite driver. It's horrible. If you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe. I could always use it. Always get the word out, always helping out the little guy, and until next time, later.